440, 430, or 450 machine with an embroidery. What's different and unique about these machines is that you have to have the computer to do the embroidery. They have to be married together while you're doing the embroidery, okay? So you have to be comfortable. Everything we do, we're going to work on the computer, and then we are going to then send information to the machine to tell it what we need to do. This machine is even so dependent on the computer that if you want to move something in your hoop, you're actually going to push keys on your keyboard, not on the machine. The machine is what we call kind of a dumb terminal. It's just going to receive commands from the computer, and that's what it knows how to do. Our other machines in our line have embroidery integrated, meaning they have a mini computer built into the sewing machine that does a lot of what your computer does. The advantage for you is you have the big wonderful computer screen to work with, so you can see everything you're doing in a big way. The disadvantage is if you're not 100% computer literate, it just makes the process a little harder for you, because now you're trying to deal with learning the computer and the sewing machine, and you have to know enough about both to make the two work. Okay? So not a problem, we're going to get you there. My goal of this class is, one, the first thing I have to go through is to show you the basic program that runs on your computer, where you can open designs, you can size them, rotate them, mirror image them, add text to them. Okay, that's called Art Design, and that is, I know, is loaded and I assume is working on all your machines, because that was a prerequisite to the class. Then what we will do is, once we get through that, we will go to what's called EC on PC, which stands for Embroidery Control on the PC, which is once the design is ready to stitch, we then transfer control to EC on PC, which will bring up a new program that will allow us to place the design where we want it to be in the hoop and allow us to stitch it out. Okay? Theoretically, you do not need to have your machine on while you're working on the computer, theoretically. If you know what you're going to do on the computer is quick, I'd go ahead and get everything set up before you start and have it all connected and ready to go. If you're going to be spending a lot of time working on the design, you may want to build the design, get it the way you want in your computer, save the design, and then connect up and connect your sewing machine to your computer. It's really your choice. Okay, you cannot disconnect that computer anytime during or turn it off, or have it fall asleep if you have a screensaver or you have a timeout on your computer. You don't want those things to happen while you're stitching, because all through the stitching process, the two are shaking hands. They're talking to each other. It doesn't send the entire information for the entire design down in one big spelled swoop. It sends it down in bits. So when you're stitching, you'll see your machine stitch, and every once in a while it's stitching, you may see it hesitate, and you'll see your screen kind of flashing, and what it's doing is it's used up the information it got, and it's requested more information from the computer, and then it sends more down. Well, at any time, if your computer falls asleep, the connection between those two gets disconnected, and then you're going to have to go through the process of reconnecting, bringing the design in again, and finding that magic place you moved it to if you moved it. So ultimately, I guess that's the long way of saying is, if you have your computer set up to go to sleep, if it's idle for 5 or 10 minutes, that's too short a time when you're embroidering. You want to expand that to be much longer. Because when they're talking back and forth, you're not really wiggling the mouse or anything, so it's not getting the message that you're working on it. So you want to make sure you have that time extended enough to cover, or you need to wiggle that mouse once in a while just to remind the computer that you're there, okay, and that you are going to be talking to each other, okay? Now, the first thing we're going to do is open now, several of you asked, is there a specific way? I keep forgetting. You guys have all had the class, so you've done this, but let's go through the connecting everything up just in case you've forgotten. And several of you have asked me, is there a specific order I turn things on? The answer to that is supposed to be no, but I find things work better for me if I do it in a specific order than if I don't. So I will share with you what works for me. Normally what I do is I get my computer turned on and powered up, okay? So my computer's all on and powered up. I then actually, before I even turn the power on, what I do is I connect everything, so I know I have everything connected. It can be connected when the power is on, but if you're hooking everything up and getting it ready, you might as well just hook everything up. The embroidery module, first of all, I'm going to turn this off. The embroidery module detaches like this, okay? And the two things that attach to your machine are, there is a little sensor right here and this peg. The best way to put this on your machine is to set it about halfway behind and slide. And when you slide, everything will go into place. If you try to come direct at it and put it down, it's not going to go down because of that one little metal sensor. So you need to offset it and slide it, and it will just slide into place.
It has to be absolutely flat. Yesterday I had something stuck into my machine and it wouldn't go on, and I discovered it and went right on.
It has to be level, and it should be level the whole time you're embroidering too. Because if it starts vibrating, it's going to lose its registration and lose track of its design. This is the connector. It has a flat side. When you plug it in, the flat side should be facing you. We've always been taught that you should only plug this in if your machine is off. Okay, I've recently heard otherwise, but I would be more comfortable, since it's going directly into a circuit board, that your machine is off when you plug this in. And you just find the connector and wiggle it in. Okay, that's all there is to connecting the module. Now, you want to make sure when you turn this on, until you have sent the design down to the machine, you don't want your hoop on your machine. The reason is that when we send the design down to the machine, the arm is going to move, and you want to make sure that if the hoop is on and you don't have the right foot on yet, or you haven't got something set up right, then that hoop is going to get trapped. So I would suggest you not put the hoop on until we get the design down to the machine. Okay? So at this point, your machine looks like this. The other thing that needs to be connected is the USB cable. The USB cable, like this. It has a fat end and a skinny end. The skinny connector is what goes in your computer, and the square end is what goes in your sewing machine. Okay, you really don't have a flat square one in your sewing machine, so in this machine you can't get them mixed up. Our other machines we have both, so it's easy to try to get them mixed up. This one you're going to plug into the machine, and then this goes directly into your computer. Now I'm using a hub so I can have more. This allows me to have more things plugged into my computer. So if you only have 1 or 2 USB ports, you may need to purchase an inexpensive hub. And a hub is just one USB port that plugs in that has multiple coming off of it. This one's like a little spider back here. I think I have another one. No, I don't. I thought I had another one floating around here. But hubs are easy to purchase at any office store or whatever, and that'll expand your USB capability. Okay. At this point, if you haven't got, if once you get all this far, if your computer's not on, I like to turn my computer on first. I just turn it on and I get past, if you've got a password protection, get past that so your Windows screen is up, so you can see your Windows screen, okay? Then I like to turn the machine on. And the reason I like to turn this on before I open the software is I want to know that the two have shaken hands. The thing about this is the two need to be able to talk, and if there's going to be an issue with them shaking hands, it's easier to deal with it now than when the software's open, you've got your design there, and then all of a sudden you realize they aren't going to talk to each other. The way you generally know that they're talking to each other is that when you turn the machine on, almost always your computer, if the volume is on, I've got the volume off on this one, well, should make a noise. It should go ding ding or boom boom, or there should be a noise that says, oh, I just recognize you plugged a device in. If it's going to have an issue not talking, usually a message comes up saying it's either installing a driver if you've not connected it ever before, or you'll just hear ding ding and you'll know it's connected. Okay? Now, as I said, if you're going to be working on your computer for an hour or two before you stitch, I wouldn't turn this on at this point. But if what you're going to do is going to be relatively quick, then go ahead and turn it on. Now you want to open up your software, okay? And the software is called Art Design. When it installs, it puts an icon on your screen. And so if you want to go ahead, is everybody's computer up and ready to go? Go ahead and find your Art Design icon and let's double click it. It should have the picture of, you know, a little scrolly thing on it. For whatever reason, when yours installed, it didn't. Now, one of the first things that happens, and we'll turn the lights off in a minute, is that two things happen. You get animation. I don't want to call them commercials or advertisements, but that's kind of what they are. They're telling you, it's telling you what other Bernina products are available, okay? You don't need to see this. You can just close out of this, and at the bottom there is a close. That's what we couldn't get to yesterday on yours. So that you can close that screen, and your screen should look something like this. And I'm